And we are live again for the Busch Series on NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005. It is the Sharpie Professional 250 at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Our first race on a half-mile short track this season, so that will be a lot of fun. And obviously our first trip to Bristol Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick will be starting on the pole here in tonight's race. There was practice and qualifying before we got started here. Harvick looks like he's got a bad, fast race car. Can he go for 4 wins in a row on this season? Of course, that is the driver we are racing as early in the year. And despite the fact he has won 3 of the first 4 races, only a 27-point lead over Bobby Hamilton Jr. due to a season opener struggling start with a 28th place finish at Daytona. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We do these full race live streams of the realistic broadcast every day, as well as other related NASCAR content right here on YouTube and on the channel KRC. So the green flag is about to wave. Oni Lasseter, welcome to the stream. Justin Sozio, welcome. Harvick leads the field to the start-finish line. We are underway here this afternoon at Bristol. Already a little contact with the 119 car, turn 1, lap 1. Very minimal, as a little rub and run action there for Harvick to quickly have a full car length now out ahead as he gets to the start-finish line. And Casey Atwood, who started 3rd, slides up to 2nd on the initial start as well. Top 3 right now are all the drivers that started on the inside line, 1st, 3rd, and 5th as well. Harvick already leading the first 2 laps. 250 laps around this racetrack does not take long at all, hence the second race of our doubleheader here tonight. Harvick already coming off a win in our first race of the doubleheader at Darlington, trying to get the sweep. Instead of starting last like he did in the first race, starting on the pole is going to be a huge step up for him. Patrick Shadley, welcome to the stream. Made it home, no skipping lunch today. I think so. Think you've settled your fantasy team as well, yeah. I have not even looked at the full starting lineup. I know Harvick's on the pole, Byron's 2nd. That's about it. I don't know anything else outside of the starting lineup. I did not do as much research as I probably should have today for my predictions, so that means I'll be doing that during my lunch break, well, tomorrow and Saturday, before I get that predictions video out either Saturday night or early Sunday morning again. I'm going to try to have it out by Saturday this week. Again, with no practice or qualifying, it makes it easier that I can get it uploaded earlier in the week. So I'm definitely going to work to try and get that done early in the week this week, so I can actually have it uploaded at a reasonable time, so that way it's not a couple hours beforehand, and maybe we can have a better chance of getting more views. Harvick already about a half a second lead. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is in 3rd place right now, trying to go for 2nd on Casey Atwood in the 14 Navy car. Nice paint scheme on Atwood as well. Not as nice as this Reese Chevrolet, though, driven by Kevin Harvick. I do say so myself. Not biased because we're running as him. I stated that before we did that fan vote before our season opener at Daytona during that live stream. And I thought Harvick had the... This Reese's car was always one of my favorites. This, the AC Delco 2 car, for whatever reason in the Busch Series, always stood out to me. And then some of the number 8 Ritz or Oreos cars that Dale Jr. ran. He doesn't have the Ritz car in this game. He does have an Oreos car, but I think his Oreo scheme in NASCAR 07, NASCAR 06 looks a little better than this. The white hood kind of throws everything off a little bit on this one, in my opinion, but usually those schemes look pretty good. So as far as the Busch Series, those are pretty nice. Oh, Tony Stewart's Old Spice scheme as well when he drove that 33 car. I think that's in NASCAR 07 as well. That one's really good looking also. I guess now I'm thinking about it off the top of my head, that number 9 car that Mark Martin drives in the Busch Series on this game, that Pennzoil paint scheme looks really good. The black side, the gold number, and the gold on the hood. Well, thanks for stopping by, Justin. Cap24, welcome to the stream. Yes, Harvick already out to an early lead, leading the first 15 laps today. Led all but 23 laps in our Darlington race earlier. Out of the 147, we only had one caution, and that was at lap 100. I'm pretty sure there's going to be more lap traffic in this race than what there was at Darlington as well. There actually wasn't as much as you would have thought there would have been. Since Bobby Hamilton Jr. is taking over second place, he's actually closing in on Kevin Harvick. Harvick's got a lot better handling car than what he did at Darlington. Probably why he did qualify on the pole, was pretty fast in practice, but Bobby Hamilton Jr. is running him down in the early going of this race. Bobby Hamilton going to try to go for his first win of the season. His dad, Bobby Hamilton Sr., already has one win in our Truck Series season. Right here on NASCAR Chase for the Cup 05. He won the Martinsville race, leading over 100 laps in that one. And that was 250 laps on a half-mile track. Different half-mile track than this one, but similar in length at least. Yes, although Harvick continues to pull away from guys behind him, one guy that does not include two is Bobby Hamilton. We will have a second trivia question later tonight as well in the stream. I advise you guys not to look it up when I ask it as well. Try to figure it out for your guys yourselves, whether you know it or don't. I'd like to hear some guesses, but Michael Turner got the question right in the last stream earlier today. Again, that will be coming up later. Got some racing going on right now, though. Bobby Hamilton gets close. We'll see how he might try to find a way to get around Harvick. So Harvick's doing a pretty good job with that race car early on. Did race a very, very short track last night in the modified series at Dodge Raceway. That will be a race on this season as well. And that was chaotic at the very end of things, though that was a shorter than a half-mile track. This is proclaimed as the world's fastest half-mile. Things happen just as fast, if not faster, around this track. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream. 10 people watching already today, and already 13 likes. Thank you, everybody, for hitting that like button. I saw we had like 6 before the stream started as well. Definitely helps out the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate it a ton. Michael Turner as well, welcome. Love short track racing. I do too. I've only been to one short track in person. That was Bristol for the All-Star race last year, so I can't wait to go back for the Bristol night race this year. That was my favorite track growing up as a kid also. So I almost had chills going in that place for the first time. I'll have even more chills when all 40 cars are on the track, and hopefully bigger crowd this year, knowing that COVID regulations will, at least by late September, especially in the state of Tennessee, hopefully be all but about gone. So I'm excited, and I also plan on going to Martinsville in October this year as well for the penultimate race. And unfortunately, could not go there last year because COVID. The state of Virginia did not allow for more than 1,000 fans in attendance. I was not one of those fans, unfortunately. But I will be there this year, so I'll get to see 2 short track races. Bobby Hamilton Jr., we mentioned he was closing and closing and closing. He is right there. He's about a car length and a half behind the race leader, Kevin Harvick. No lap traffic for Kevin yet, so still has pretty clean air. And we're at lap 35. These laps are quickened by fast. is definitely a race between the top two. Going to Dover and Pocono this year. I am going to both of those races, or racetracks, I should say. Technically, it's 3 races as far as the Cup Series. Pocono being a doubleheader on the same weekend, so I'm excited for that. Can add an extra race to my resume, even though it's at the same track, so that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, I plan on going to both of those. A little more excited for Dover, because it'll be first trip in which I'm taking a couple of newer friends that I'm trying to get into NASCAR as well. But we've been friends since high school, so been trying to get them out. We were supposed to go to Charlotte last year, and then COVID happened, and they didn't run with fans, so we had to postpone it a year. And instead of Charlotte this year, we'll be going to Dover. We'll be actually staying in a Airbnb place, a really nice place that I got on Airbnb for pretty reasonable price, and we'll be staying on the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, so that'll be a lot of fun. I hope COVID ends sooner rather than later too, that's for sure. Harvick's led the first 41 laps today, but not by much. Again, Bobby Hamilton Jr. right there. It's a very hard charging 2-car race, and you wonder if Hamilton is faster than Harvick, and Harvick's holding him up. It's really tough to tell, though, because Harvick hasn't been in prime position of losing that lead yet. Hamilton, although it's close, if Harvick does make a mistake, he could probably pounce on it, but he's not close enough to not only get the bumper to him, but put extra pressure on Harvick. Harvick almost racing as if Hamilton's not there. Closer to the lap traffic, still caution free. Harvick goes a little wider in turns 3 and 4. For Hamilton to get to the lead there, or at least get to the inside of Harvick. Be interested to see if these guys can go 125 laps on fuel here in the Busch Series, because if so, this is only going to be a 2 pit stop race today. I'm definitely tired of the mask, too. Just wearing them for 10 hours a day at work. I was lucky enough I didn't have to wear a mask at my last job. I wore a face shield because I was working outside and it was a little easier to breathe. So I wore a face shield at least in the warmer months from basically late April to the time I left. Early November. We were still having pretty nice weather by that time. Lap 50, lap traffic right in front of Kevin Harvick. And this is a chance for Bobby Hamilton Jr. to maybe get to the lead. Harvick looks to the inside of his first lap car. Into turns 3 and 4. He'll make the nice clean pass. And Hamilton actually drifted high getting into turn 3. Stuck in line right behind that lap car. Hamilton does get back around him in 3 and 4 on the next lap, and he's right behind Harvick again. Drew Campbell's the next lap car in line, the 131 car. And 43 cars in the Busch Series field in the year 2004, so a really full field here for this season's races, and on the short tracks it will become a little bit more prevalent than, say, the bigger and intermediate tracks on the schedule. Harvick to the inside of Campbell, makes a move. Campbell gives him plenty of room. So the first 2 lap cars being pretty nice of the race leaders right now, not battling them hard early, despite the fact that they are on the lead lap right now. At least for this go-around. We'll see if anybody else tries to catch up to these top 2. Looks like a little contact with some lap cars getting into turns 3 and 4. Didn't check them up much, though. A couple guys running side by side up there as well. The top line at Bristol And this Bristol, definitely not there. It is a one-groove racetrack. Don't let the progressive banking fool you. It is a fight for the bottom. Harvick to the inside of the 117 down into turn 1. 117 got a little loose on the high side. Harvick gets around him, clears him in one corner. Now the 86 car is the next car to go a lap down. Harvick is lifting a little bit more when he does get to the inside of the lap cars just to keep from drifting up into him. So he tries to keep this car clean. That what he thinks is going to be the best opportunity to hang on to this lead in front of Bobby. 43 cars at Dodge Race will be tight. And it's one of the fantasy tracks that they have on the actual schedule for the Truck and Busch series on this game for whatever reason. Mainly because they didn't have the licensing to all the other tracks. A little bit more contact up ahead as well. That was the closest Hamilton has gotten to the back bumper of Harvick in 1 and 2 that time. Even on the far chase cam, you could see the bumper of Hamilton get really close to Harvick there, but Harvick again holding on to the lead. Just trying to hold that inside. Bobby's not going to try to pass him on the high side. Worst case scenario, he'll put the bumper to Harvick eventually, but still a little early in the race, just less than 200 laps to go. Seen some sparks flying from behind some of these lap cars. Oh, contact. Harvick is tight in the corner now. The 116's in the wall off turn 2, stacking up Bobby Hamilton. Harvick got into the left rear of the 116, then he ended up in the wall after a little side swipe along the way. Once Harvick made the initial contact, he couldn't get off of him. Again, that stacked up Bobby Hamilton Jr. as well. In the 25 car, right back to about a half a second off the lead for him. So they'll try to run Harvick down again. First contact Harvick's made with a lap car today. Even Red Bull is going to be kind of tight too at some of those short tracks. If I'm not mistaken, I think for the Truck Series, Dodge Raceway's in like 2 or 3 races, so even 36 trucks on that track is going to get tight. Yeah, the banking at Bristol, it's about the same as what it was here, about 36 degrees. Maybe like 34 now or something like that. It might be a little less, which is just able for them to run the high lane. But I mean, it's pretty much about the same. If it isn't the same. And a little separation initially from Bobby Hamilton Jr. Eases that pressure on Harvick again. Having that 0.7 of a second lead is nice. About as much as what it was since about lap 20. Somebody is out of the race already and on pit road with a blown engine. And the good news is as well, Harvick just hit halfway out of fuel on lap 71. So if we do go green all the way through this race today at Bristol, which would be surprising, but if we do go green, and you're looking at a one-stop race today, these guys can make it to about lap 142, which would mean they would have just over 110 laps, or sorry, just less than 110 laps if they ran this run all the way to the end. So easily this stop in this race can be made on one stop. I think we might see some guys short pit again as soon as that window opens to the end like we saw at Darlington, but we saw the risk at Darlington, or if we get a caution, it was going to trap some guys a lap down. It trapped a couple faster cars too, like Kyle Busch. Ended up finishing 32nd because of it. Only had 2 DNFs, so there were 10 drivers that finished at least a lap down, if not more, because of that. And Bristol is an even shorter track than Darlington. You're going to go 2 laps down at least here. These 15-second lap times, even in the Busch Series. Hamilton closing right back up on Harvick again, who has led the first 75 laps now tonight. Dominant as far as laps led, but as far as the race lead goes, he hasn't had a second lead at all yet. Oh boy. Contact with the 161 now. And how about this 119 of Eddie Hammock? He qualified in second place, and on a green flag run is all the way towards the back. A little contact. Harvick drove it in a little too deep into 3 and 4 that time. But Hammock already a lap down after starting outside pole. Remember, Harvick started on the pole, so that's how we know how far that 119 car was at the very beginning of the race. How far ahead versus where he's running now. And alternate through the different camera angles in the early going of today's race. That was a big gain in 1 and 2 to the back of that lap car ahead of Harvick. 128. Riding that Jed's paint scheme. Harvick a little easier into 3 and 4. He's definitely getting a tad bit tighter as this run carries on. Again, no cautions yet, so 82 laps on these guys' tires right now. Definitely nowhere near as much grip as what there was earlier. You see Harvick going all the way up the track again. Kept it off the wall. He hasn't hit the wall yet today. Did get into the side of a couple lap cars, and a mistake in 1 and 2 cost them a couple tenths of a second. Bobby Hamilton Jr., no more lap cars in between the top 2 again. Going to be closing in on about a 2 to 3 car length lead into turn 3 this time. Harvick a little better in 3 and 4 than what he is in 1 and 2, it seems like. Consistently, at least. A little bit off that yellow line on the bottom again in 1 and 2. There's definitely not going to be any short pitting today from Kevin Harvick. Way too risky at a track like Bristol. Even if Bobby Hamilton Jr. decided to pit as soon as that window opened to try to bait Harvick onto pit road as well, or maybe cycle out ahead of him if it did stay green long enough after that, Harvick's just going to let him go. And if we cycle through and Hamilton's got a 5-second lead because of it, so be it. That is better to finish second that way than get trapped a lap down and finish well outside the top 20, much like Harvick did at Daytona earlier this season. Trying a bad strategy call there. Bottoming out, maybe some contact again with the lap cars up ahead. Yeah, the Tiburon Raceway. That banking on that track is ridiculous. Ooh, a little contact. Harvick tried to get on the brakes a little bit more underneath the 56. It didn't matter. He still made contact. Ray Westbury right there. And lap 91, we've got some comers onto pit road. First stops of the day. That pit window is opening up to the end of this race. And again, Bobby Hamilton Jr. right on the back bumper of Kevin Harvick for the race lead. Harvick tries to hang on early. Hamilton looks low underneath Harvick. Harvick with a little bit of a block down the backstretch. He had a good enough run off turn 2 that he was able to pull down in front of the 25. But boy, that was about as close as Harvick has been to losing the lead so far. A little contact with the lap cars up ahead. You wonder if we're going to get a phantom caution like we did on NASCAR Thunder 04 the couple times we were at Bristol. Where you would see that driver who was first on the pit lane during these green flag stops come out of the pits, and that alone would bring out a caution. So if we see that again here, that could be another yellow. I didn't even think about that until just now. Another reason to maybe stay out a little longer, because that could be a guaranteed caution. Tiburon would definitely be interesting. But the way you have to go the reverse route, you're taking right turns all the way around, it'd be way too dangerous. Like the speeds are higher. If you hit its driver's side door first, 9 times out of 10 versus the right side of the car first. Well, Harvick lost the bottom of the track, had to run the top through the corners again, and he loses the lead for the first time today at lap 98. Bobby Hamilton Jr. takes the lead, but Harvick off turn 3 the next lap, going to get him right back. That was just enough for Bobby Hamilton Jr. to get 5 bonus points for leading a lap. Good enough for him. Lap 100, Harvick back in front after Hamilton leads just 1 lap. Harvick's led all the rest. It really stinks. He didn't want him to lead a lap, especially with Hamilton coming in second in points. Again, very early in the season. It's a 34 race season, so nothing to really worry about there. Harvick entered a little too deep into 3. Backs it up, gives up more time to Hamilton. At least Hamilton knows he's got the 5 bonus points. And it's going to be tough to catch Harvick for the most laps led, so might as well just run it out and try to go for the win later if he has a chance. Yeah, that's an exact reason why a track like that is not realistic. It's not a real track. It's ridiculous. I'm talking about putting people in danger. Drivers and fans alike. Started drifting up the track a little bit again, but so did Hamilton right behind him. I mean, everybody's in dirty air now. You can see on the track map on the upper right-hand corner of the screen just how spaced apart these cars are. Nature of short track racing, especially here on the world's fastest half mile at Bristol Motor Speedway. Just over 100 laps into a green flag run. Harvick's car has definitely gotten tight over the last 20 to 30 laps. He's doing his best right now to do what he can. A little contact. Car right in front of him in the 20. That's Mike Bliss. Bliss was the only cause of a caution at Darlington earlier today where he spun off of turn 4 and backed it down the track into a couple other drivers like the 131 as well as somebody else. It is a Joe Gibbs Racing Chevrolet, by the way, once again. Cook in the 10. Going to go a lap down. So another lap car in between the top 2. Hamilton looks low into 3 and 4 to get around the 10 car. Couldn't do it that time. Fun race so far tonight, though. I love just coming here and logging in laps. It's just so fun to race this track. Especially with these longer races. Challenging, but I like the challenge. Kind of the same with Darlington. As far as competitive cars go, seems to be a little bit more competitive of a race here at Bristol versus our first race at Darlington today. Bliss Walks up the track a little bit off turn 2, just enough for Harvick to get under him. Bliss gives Harvick plenty of room once he got alongside of him. Clears him. Bliss is a lap down. He's not giving up, though. He's all over the back bumper of Harvick. Harvick really hasn't made a major mistake again. Hamilton led one lap just because Harvick went a little too wide, but Harvick has not hit the wall once today either. In 115 laps at Bristol, that's impressive. He didn't hit the wall once in turns 1 and 2 the whole race at Darlington earlier today, and in 3 and 4 he only hit it once. It was just an impressive drive there. And really for myself, I'm coming in with my A game for the doubleheader today. Already got the win at Darlington, and again, trying to win today at Bristol now. Still just over half the race to go, though. Anything can happen, and Hamilton Jr., that is only about 4 to 5 tenths of a second off the lead. So he is right there behind Harvick. Got a little tight off turn 2 again. He almost ended up in the wall for that first time. He's pushed his luck a couple times, that's for sure. He's going to drive like a whole new race car when he comes off pit road and has those 4 fresh tires back on the car whenever that's going to be. Again, whether we get a caution or he has to run this fuel run out to its very end. But Hamilton hasn't short pitted either. He knows there's too much of a risk. He might try to come down a lap before Harvick. That would probably be the smarter plan if he wanted to cycle out ahead of him. Maybe 2 laps, but I wouldn't go more than that. Hamilton back to the inside. Harvick goes a little wide in 1 and 2. Side by side for the lead into 3. Harvick had to get on the brakes. He could not hold that outside lane without putting it in the wall. He had to get on the brakes way more than what he usually would have to in that higher lane. And for the second time today, Bobby Hamilton Jr. is out in front. And now Harvick is the car wheeling. Instead of taking a lap to get back to the lead, Hamilton's now led for 2 laps at least already this time around. Harvick, oh, what a drive in 1 and 2, and he clears Hamilton off the exit of 2. Almost put the car in the wall, he drove it so hard. Both on corner entry and corner exit, but what a great pass by Harvick. And Hamilton has been restricted to only 3 laps led today. Yeah, I didn't realize that track was 3 miles in length, too. Crazy. So with Hamilton leading 3 laps, so we got another slow car on the apron. Couldn't tell who it was, but we have somebody who has blown an engine. So that's the second driver now who has exited today's race. Wonder if any of those drivers that pitted right at lap 91 are going to cycle up in front of both Harvick and Hamilton Jr., who have just a huge lead pretty much on third on back. As that lap car finally gets down onto pit road. We're just past halfway today at Bristol. MONRT25 gamer, welcome to the stream. Welcome back. Hey, better late than never, as I always say. Ooh. Billy Parker kind of moving Tim Feedwell up and out of the groove. Feedwell almost ended up in the wall off turn 2. Harvick trying to get around him. Feedwell had a great run at Darlington, finished second, but already a lap down here today at Bristol, just past the halfway mark. Harvick has clinched the most laps led already. 10 bonus points for him today. Hamilton has led 3 laps, and that's been it. These two have gone back and forth a couple times. Whenever Hamilton gets to the lead, he can't hold on to the lead for more than 2 laps. Boy, that 22 really pinched Harvick down that time, and now a little contact. He pinched Harvick down, and that caused Harvick to slide up into him. Another run in 3 and 4 to get back to the inside of the lap car. We'll see if he can get him into 1 and 2 this time. He does hold on to the lead, and actually Bobby Hamilton Jr. stuck on the outside of Feedwell, and with the 22 car in the way, Feedwell actually gets back around Hamilton, and that's the first time Harvick has hit the wall all day long And it was getting into turn 3. He went just a little too wide. Again, he's battling a tight race car on old tires. And also, again, not everybody has hit pit road, including the top 2. So trying to take this fuel run as far as they can, not risk going a lap down, maybe hoping for a caution. This is a tough pit road to get onto with the way that there is 2 separate pit lanes. There's one on the front straightaway and one on the back straightaway because of how short of a racetrack Bristol is. Making the pit entry and the pit lane in general different here from any other track on the circuit. Like 136. Harvick's definitely going to make sure he's going to be on the bottom, which he should be. Try to put our Daytona winner Kenny Walls to lap down, and he will. Drew Campbell in the 131 going to go 2 laps down now. Lap 137. Kevin Harvick's pit box, will be on the front straightaway. Harvick going to stay out one more lap. Underneath David Green off turn 4. 7/10 of a second lead on Bobby Hamilton Jr., who's caught in even more lap traffic now. And Kevin Harvick coming down onto pit road. Ooh, sliding the tires a little bit. Got to be careful. Tough pit road to get onto. 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel. No adjustments for Kevin Harvick. Harvick might have been able to go a couple more laps on fuel. He was not going to risk running out, even though it is a shorter racetrack. Well, here's the bad news. He's lapped down. And we should cycle back ahead of Bobby Hamilton Jr. if we cycle through. But if a caution comes out now, that might put a dagger in the chances of Harvick trying to win this race today. Again, we might get a phantom caution, like we did on NASCAR Thunder 04. Not impossible, so for Kevin Harvick, this could be treacherous. Bump there, Hermie Sadler gives to the back of the 168. Harvick just drives by both of them. Harvick's got such fresher tires right now. Almost only 100 laps to go in this race. Again, this race going by fast, no cautions up to this point. We've not had a caution-free race in either one of the 3 series so far. Greg Biffle tries to take out Kevin Harvick. That could have been the first caution right there, and Harvick doesn't need a yellow with being a lap down right now. But boy, that would have been treacherous if Biffle turned him, which he tried to do down the back straightaway a lap ago. Upset from Vegas. Remember, he tried to take out Harvick at the end of that Vegas race, and Harvick saved it and still held on to win on the final lap. Ooh, almost slid into the 119 a third time today. Barely kept it off of him and clears him off the exit of the corner for 19th. Or sorry, no, not for position. It's already a lap down. Oh no, car trying to come to pit road in the 112. Sliding onto pit road. He was committed. He might not have been able to go another lap on fuel. Again, these guys are stretching it really far, and he just chopped the nose off the right front of Kevin Harvick's car. About turned himself, but again, we stay green. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is still on the track. He has not pitted yet. It's a terrible move by that car. He should have just gotten on the brakes and dropped in line behind Harvick instead of trying to cut down in front of him. Obviously wasn't clear there. It slides in front of the 128 into the corner. Gets around Mark Martin there. It's back up to 6th place, but Bobby Hamilton still has not pitted, and now Hamilton's coming to pit road off turn 4. His pit box is also on the front straightaway. So Harvick back on the lead lap. Kyle Busch is still the leader in the 5 car, and he has to hit pit road. So 100 laps to go. And boy, does Busch want to get around Harvick want to get around Busch as quickly as he can right now. Harvick will be the eventual leader. He's in second. He pitted about 7 or 8 laps before Bobby Hamilton Jr. And here comes Kyle Busch just in front of the 119 car on the pit road. Harvick back on the lead lap at the line. So that's a good sign. Blue Castleberry's the lap car right in front of Harvick. Castleberry gets in the back of the 138. 3 wide to the inside goes Harvick. Harvick back out in front. Lead change at the line. 3 wide at Bristol. First time we've seen this today. Castleberry clear. Harvick also clear on the bottoms. They kind of merge off turn 2. Harvick pitting just about 8 laps before Bobby Hamilton Jr. and the rest of the field. About 8 to 10 laps, really. Alone cycled Harvick about 5.8 seconds ahead of Bobby Hamilton Jr. It was a risk pitting just a hair before him. But when they were bumper to bumper when Harvick came to pit road, that is not the case anymore. With 95 laps to go, Harvick's wanting this run to go green to the finish. Again, no cautions at all today. And for Harvick's sake, it would be absolutely great if it stayed that way. A lot of cars a lap down, of course, with not having a single caution yet. Stacking the field up for a restart. Harvick getting blocked desperately right now by Nick Richardson in the 132. Sorry, the 112. The font on some of these numbers and the graphics make it look a little weird sometimes. It's costing Harvick a little bit of time. There is still a lot of time for Hamilton to try and run down Harvick, so by no means is Harvick having this thing locked up. Bobby Hamilton definitely had a fast car, was within a second of him the whole time, but they seem to led over half the race. If these lap cars like Richardson keep blocking him off when Harvick's trying to pass him, then you never know. Between that or a caution, could bring Bobby Hamilton Jr., maybe a couple other drivers, right back into this race again. Gonna pause it here for a quick second tonight. We're gonna give you guys the trivia question of the night real quick here. Want to make sure I don't mess this question up. So that is why I'm going to my Google Docs, because I did write it down. So again, trivia question for the night. And then we'll get back to the action while you guys are answering the question. So tonight's trivia question for at least our Bristol race is actually a Cup Series related question. So what is the last race team in the NASCAR Cup Series to win both a championship and a Rookie of the Year championship in the same season? So again, that is the trivia question here tonight at Bristol. Again, it doesn't really pertain to Bristol or even the Busch Series, or now known as Xfinity Series. But again, I'll repeat it. The question is, which is the last team in the NASCAR Cup Series to win both a season championship as well as a Rookie of the Year championship in the same season? So, race team is what you're looking for the answer to our trivia question tonight. I'll give you guys to lap 175 to try and figure out the answer to that question. We got 11 people watching right now. See if any one of you guys can get the answer. And again, do not look it up on the internet. Not looking up online. Brother Daggett, welcome to the stream. Chase Elliott. No, it has to be race team again. It has to be a race team. So not a particular driver. Which race team is the last in the Cup Series to win both a Rookie of the Year championship and a season championship in the same year, in the same season? Yeah, again, it's a team, like a race team, not like a driver. I should say owner. You know, who's the last owner of a race team would be an answer to the question. I'll give you guys another 10 laps. I'll give you guys the lap 180 to try and figure it out. Alan Kulwicki owned his own team. Yeah, Kulwicki was an owner-driver. Well, it was kind of like Stuart Haas, where he had like help and funding with other. It was like a part ownership, but he did not win the Rookie of the Year the same year that him and his team won the championship. Again, had to win the Rookie of the Year and the season championship in the same season. It could be two different drivers racing for the same like team, but it can't. It's not like just the driver. Again, it's kind of like an owner. Hendrick is not the answer to that question. Tristan Games, welcome to the stream. Don't know an owner? Yeah, if you're new to NASCAR, you probably wouldn't be able to figure this one out. Hendrick is not the answer to the question. Good try. You guys got another 6 laps, though, at Bristol. These laps are going to wind by pretty quick. That's why I gave you guys about 10 to 15 laps to try and figure it out. I usually give about 5, but 5 laps at Bristol might not be enough. Cab 24, welcome back. Just ended your long-awaited winless streak in iRacing. Hey, congratulations. Congratulations. So Harvick's got a 4.5 second lead now. This lap traffic has really thickened over about the last 10 to 15 laps. And Harvick had, remember, a 6 second lead roughly when he cycled out as the race leader with 97 to go after the pit stops concluded. Gibbs is not the answer either. I feel like this answer is going to shock you. You guys got a couple laps yet. Yeah, it's a lap 180 to try and figure it out. I wouldn't say it's a tricky answer. I try to get tricky questions, but answers that you guys could probably figure out or guess correctly. But this is definitely a difficult one. Are we trying to lap the 109 car? It's not Michael Waltrip Racing, but that's a good guess. And it is not Penske either. So now we just got a bunch of guesses going on. All right, well, it's lap 181. The time has ran out. Haas DEI, not correct. So the answer to the question again, the question was, what is the last race team / owner to win both a season championship and a Rookie of the Year championship in the same year in the NASCAR Cup Series? The year was 2017, and the answer was Furniture Row Racing. Martin Truex Jr. won the season championship, and the Rookie of the Year was none other than Eric Jones, driving the 77 car full-time in his rookie season for Furniture Row. So again, trick question. I didn't know if anybody was going to get that or not tonight. It's one of those unlikely teams. Obviously, the team shut down a couple of years ago, so they're not even a team in the Cup Series anymore. So that was the kind of the trick to the question. It was in recent memory, but I felt like that was a question that not a lot of people would have been able to figure out. So that was the answer. I stumped you guys tonight. I'm proud of myself. I dug some. Well, it wasn't very deep research, I guess, for that one. It was deeper research for the question in the first race. But yeah, I think a lot of people forget Eric Jones ran for Furniture Row his rookie season. I think that's the big part of that question. Really, like Eric Jones in his career. I feel like they only remember him running the 20 car. They forget he ran the 77, that 5-hour energy car for his entire rookie season in 2017. He had an outstanding year that year. He didn't make the playoffs, but for Furniture Row equipment as a rookie, I know Truex won the championship, but I don't think that car was anywhere what Truex was running to. Harvick trying not to pay attention to the interval as much. But I think he's going to be a little leery of the way things are going now. He's only got a 4-second lead on Bobby Hamilton Jr. Bobby Hamilton in 30 laps has cut down the lead 2 seconds. And we still have 61 laps to go at the line. There is time for Hamilton Jr. to catch him if it stays green. Picked up 73rd career win in the career mode. Nice. Is that like only for the Cup Series, or is that like all together? So I think, we've got like 30 or 29. I think we got 30 wins, 30, 31, somewhere around 30 career mode, and 3 full-time Cup seasons, and 2 extra Daytona 500s. Johnny Sauter, next driver to go a lap down here. He's the last car on the lead lap. And we could get a caution before the end of this race as well. On Heat 4, all the series. Gotcha. Still impressive to stick with it for that long. Guess it makes it more and more fun the longer you go into the career mode as well. I usually just kind of win a championship and call it quits, but I guess it's kind of cool to stick with it. See if you can actually put up a legitimate Hall of Fame career. Or you make yourself one of the best of all time. Ooh, Harvick barely stays in front of Hornaday. Hornaday's been trying to get back on the lead lap these last couple laps. Really close. Harvick drove it in a little too deep into 1 and 2 that time, and Hornaday got close to getting around him. Yeah, I think on NASCAR Heat 4, we only drove Toyota with the Supras, but I think every like fan vote season we've had, granted we haven't had many obviously with the new games, and Toyotas aren't ran in this. I was wondering if we were going to get like Ricky Craven as like a pick for NASCAR Thunder 04 because it was the last year of Pontiacs. I was wondering if any of you guys are going to pick like him or another driver that drove a Pontiac in the game, but there were very few of them by that time. We didn't get it. We still got an outside-the-box Terry Labonte, though, so I was proud about that. Then we got Jimmy Johnson for this season. A little tight again underneath Sauter. Lead was cut down to 3.5 seconds. It's back to just about a 4-second lead again. 50 laps to go at the line for Kevin Harvick. 200 laps complete here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Just less than an hour into the race, and we have clicked 200 laps away at Bristol. How did we get it done that quick? Well, simply we haven't had a caution yet. So, very fast race pace going on right now. Already had green flag pit stops, so no scheduled pit stops the rest of the way. Still trying to win a championship for the Xfinity Series. Oh, okay. Overdrives 3 a little bit. The gap hasn't closed as much in the last 15 laps compared to what it did the first 20 laps after the pit stop cycled through. Some of that might have been when Bobby Hamilton Jr. had about 10 lap fresher tires on Harvick coming off the pit lane after giving up over 100 lap fresher tires when Harvick first hit pit road, and that's why Harvick got out to about a 5.5 to 6 second lead to begin with. But now that 20 laps into the run pretty much happened, these tires have evened out between everybody, and that's why you're not being able to see Bobby Hamilton close that gap like he did those first 20 or 30 laps of the run. Given a caution, these two were really equal the entirety of that first tire stint. I expect that to be the same if we get to that point again. Yeah, even in my NASCAR Thunder career mode that I was playing offline at least, I ran Ford. I didn't even run Pontiac. 05, at least in the modifieds and the trucks so far into my career mode, I ran Dodges. And I do have a Ford in the Busch series right now. So I've made it up to the Busch series so far. Won a championship from the modified. I actually am owning a modified team in the career mode, so I've had a little fun with that. It's been a few weeks since I played it. When I first bought this game about a month ago, I was kind of like binging the career mode on my days off. Now that golf season's coming back into it, it'll be a little harder for me to get into it more, but I'll see what I can do. Honestly, this race is going to end pretty early tonight. I might hop on and do a couple shorter career mode races there before I go to bed. I have to be into work by 6 tomorrow, but I usually stay up till like 10:30 anyway, so why not? Already 8. Fueled up, I'm good to go. I'm awake. This race is just flying by. Between both races, again, the first race went by quick. We only had one caution and a 200-miler. And this one, 250 laps at Bristol. Again, not that long of a race with these being Busch Series races, but again, caution-free in this one. Harvick over a 5-second lead now as he is starting to pull away late. Not his furthest lead of the race, but pretty close to it. And similar to fashion as to how Darlington went as far as it being laps led versus not leading the laps, the percentage-wise, just really high. But this was a closer race throughout, more points versus what the Darlington race was earlier today. And again, this race is not over. We still got a ways to go to get to that white flag for Harvick's sake and not have this end in a late race restart or a green-white check or anything of that sort of controversy size significance at the end of the race. Being fairly patient with that lap traffic now, though, since getting out to that 5-second lead. It's kind of cost him about a half a second in the last 5 to 6 laps again, though. He's going to have to be careful. It's maybe not early enough to start backing off of it, not trying to pass these lap cars, but that's what he's doing right now. He doesn't want this race to be too close, but he's also just trying to keep this car clean and stay out of trouble. Sydney Duncan, welcome to the stream. 30 laps to go this time for Kevin Harvick at the Bristol Motor Speedway. For the Sharpie Professionals 250. Harvick low into the corner. He did try to get around a lap car that time. Almost actually opened the door up for Ron Hornaday to get to his inside, but not quite. It's the 116 of Jimmy Hill. No relation to Timmy Hill. I remember seeing that name a couple races ago in the Busch Series. One of the fantasy drivers. It does get around the 121 at least, getting into turn 3. Following Jimmy Hill right on through there, but Jimmy was not willing to give up the spot to Harvick, and that lead is down to just over 3.5 seconds. So Bobby Hamilton is trying to do everything he can. You can tell he is running that car absolutely hard right now, and Harvick gives up the bottom and lets his teammate Ron Hornaday Jr. get back on the lead lap. So Ron Hornaday back racing on the lead lap, trying to battle Jimmy Hill for position here. Just over a 3-second lead now with 25 laps to go this time by for Harvick. He didn't intentionally let his Richard Childress Racing teammate get by him. Yes, indeed. Again, one attempt at a green-white checker in the year 2004. As Michael Turner stated in the chat, while Hornaday putting the bumper to Jimmy Hill. That'd be an opportunity. Harvick gets to the inside of Jimmy Hill this time, following his teammate right on through there. So Harvick trying to get to that point. He does pass Hill. Still about a 3.1 second lead. Hill staying behind Harvick. First driver a lap down. Harvick just wants to see that white flag wave so badly right now. That's this point in the race where it's a little scary that Hamilton is actually closing in on him if we did get a caution. Does Hamilton have a good chance to get around? We haven't had a restart yet today, so we don't know how good or bad everybody is on the restart. Whether that is Harvick or anybody else, so you don't want to have to risk trying to time that out as perfectly as you can. There's a lot of lap traffic bumper to bumper ahead of Harvick. They're making contact with each other up there, which is uneasy for Harvick, as well as the fact that it is slowing him up a little bit more. 20 laps to go this time by. They're all battling for position. They're all trying to stay on the lead lap. Harvick doesn't want to have to pass him, but if Bobby Hamilton Jr. closes that gap more and more and more like he is, Harvick's going to have to do something late in this thing to get around some of these guys, and hopefully his teammate, of all people, Ron Hornaday, lets him go back by again. Harvick not looking to pass him right now. He's backing out the gas a little bit more, being extra patient. I mean, this could help save his tires if we do get a late race restart. Boy, Bobby Hamilton Jr. is cutting it off. Harvick is being very patient right now. Really, the final 40 laps of the race entirety. Remember, he had a 6-second lead at one point. And we have not had a caution. Now the tires are slowly starting to wear out. That doesn't help Harvick either. So he gets to the inside of another lap car. Into turn 3 underneath the 168. Clears him off turn 4. So that's another lap car in the rear view. 2.4 second lead at the line. 16 to go. Going to alternate through the different camera angles one final time in today's race. Harvick got a good run off forward, but he couldn't do anything with it. Lap car was in the way. Again, also Harvick backed out of the gas getting into turn 1 because he didn't want to risk anything. And he's still backing off. Now he gets underneath his teammate Hornaday. Nope. Backs off again into 3. Hornaday's trying to get around the 56 car, and he didn't really give Harvick a lot of room to stay underneath him. 11 laps to go, and the lead's down to 1.7 seconds. Obviously, Harvick's not pushing it too hard to get around the lap cars. And now Hornaday puts the bumper to the 56, so Harvick needs to get on it to at least get under the 56 car. Into turn 1, and now the 56 slides down right in front of Harvick. Now he goes back high off turn 2. Harvick to the inside, trying to pass the lap car. He's got a 1.5-second lead over Bobby Hamilton Jr. There are 4 lap cars between the top 2 with 9 laps to go. Is that going to be enough as the 56 is still stuck on the high side? I think that's Tim Fedewa in line behind Harvick. Harvick goes a little too high in 3 and 4. Cuts down right in front. And actually, sorry, that's Johnny Sauter, not Tim Fedewa. Sauter in the 27. Harvick was able to block off. Harvick did not want to get stuck on the outside that time. Overdrives 3 and 4 a little bit. 1.4 seconds ahead. 7 to go. Chopped off there by Trey Murray in the 108. 1.2 seconds at the line, 6 to go for Harvick. At least these lap cars have raced for the most part clean. There's been a few bump and runs, and Harvick goes a little wide on these older tires in 3 and 4 again. But he does stay in front of Johnny Sauter. 5 laps to go. It is a 1 second lead. Harvick is sliding around on these old tires. He goes high again. Johnny Sauter is underneath him into turn 3. And Sauter gets around him. Harvick trying to cross over Johnny into turn 1. He can't do it. Sauter throws the block, and these lap cars are racing the heck out of Harvick late. Harvick again to the inside of Johnny Sauter into turn 3. Clears him off turn 4. That was a big pass around another lap car. Got him back, but it did cost him a little time racing with Sauter. And Bobby Hamilton Jr. is about 2 car lengths behind the lap car of Sauter that Harvick just passed. And we're coming to 2 laps to go this time. Does Bobby Hamilton Jr. have enough? He is closing in on Harvick fast. Sauter goes a little high in 1 and 2. Hamilton right on his back bumper into 3. As long as he can't get around Sauter, Harvick should have this race won. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go for Kevin Harvick. If Bobby Hamilton gets a chance, he'll use the bumper. He is still behind Sauter into turn 3, and boy did Hamilton give Harvick a run at the end. A couple more laps, I think he would have got him, but Kevin Harvick will live to tell the story at the end of the race that he wins the Sharpie Professional 250 at Bristol. Kevin Harvick with the victory, holding off Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the closing laps. Hamilton came from 6 laps down in this race, 6 seconds back in this race to close into within about maybe 2 to 3 car lengths of Harvick at the end, and Harvick just had enough time. The tires were aging late in this one. The lap traffic was not paying him any favors. They didn't make contact with Harvick, which was a saving grace, but they definitely were racing him hard and holding him up there as Harvick does the Polish victory lap in celebration today at Bristol. Look at that. 0.493 was the margin of victory for Kevin Harvick. Only 8 drivers finished on the lead lap today. We saw Hornaday get back on the lead lap there late, passing Harvick. He was one of the other drivers that raced his teammate, of all people, in the lap cars hard, but it worked out for Harvick in the end. 4 consecutive victories for Harvick, winning the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and now 5th races of the season, and sweeping our doubleheader here tonight on the channel. He led 232 of the 500 laps, but by no means was this an easy race. You saw how fast Hamilton was, especially late. And it's a good thing Harvick got out to a 6-second lead after the cycling of stops with less than 100 to go when he did, because otherwise it might have been a much closer race, and maybe Hamilton would have been able to pull it off. Bobby Hamilton did lead 15, so he gets 5 bonus points. So not a big gain in the point standings for Harvick on Hamilton, but he does gain some nonetheless. Dale Jr. finishes 3rd. That is his 3rd top 5 this season in the 3 races he's run. Remember, he did not run both the 3rd and 4th races of the year at Vegas and Darlington earlier tonight. Mark Martin rounds out the top 4, 2nd top 5 early in the year for him, and Kyle Busch has a great bounce-back performance after a lap down at Darlington today to finish 5th and gets 5 bonus points for leading 3 laps during green flag stops. So great run for him. David Stremme, another great run this season with another top 10. He finishes 3rd and 6th in the 2 races tonight. And remember, at Vegas he finished in the top, ran in the top 5 for most of the day. He didn't finish there. Unfortunately, he fell back late in the race. He got involved in an accident. Ashton Lewis finishes 7th, Ron Hornaday 8th as mentioned, Johnny Sauter 9th, and Paul Menard rounds out the top 10. And again, 8 drivers finished on the lead lap. Haynes, Matt Kenseth, Kenny Wallace, Bradford, all DNF. So 4 drivers had engine failures, and we have our first caution-free race on NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005. Again, modified races always go caution-free because there are no cautions in that series. But of the other 3 series, this is the first one. And it comes in this 250-lap Busch Series race at Bristol. We'll take a new look at the point standings here before we get on out of here. Next race will be tomorrow night for the Busch Series. It will be the O'Reilly 300 at the Texas Motor Speedway. So tune in for that one. Coverage starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night for that 300-mile, 200-lap race around the mile-and-a-half D-shaped oval. I'll have another trivia question ready to go again. I mentioned we were going to bring that back. I did have one question earlier in the week for a stream, and I had two tonight. So we'll have one question again tomorrow as well. Again, we'll check the standings here. Harvick's still going to have the points lead. 4 wins in the first 5 races. What a start. Although Harvick is a a Cup Series regular running in the Busch Series. Still a strong start to the season. And although he's got 4 wins, again, that Daytona start wasn't good for him. Bobby Hamilton Jr., that is why he is 42 points back despite not winning a race yet this year. So that is where consistency matters at this season-long championship. Again, no playoffs or any of that nature, no chase for this Busch Series as well. So Hamilton's right there. David Stremme still within a race. Again, a lot of these guys within 1 race of points still, despite Harvick having 4 wins because we are only 5 races into the season. So like, share, and subscribe again for more daily NASCAR content. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the channel. We are on the road to 1,000 subs, getting very, very close to 800. We should be there by this weekend. So thanks, everybody, for that, as always, for supporting me, as always, with these realistic broadcasts on my journey to becoming a broadcaster in the sport of NASCAR. Thanks. I'll see you tomorrow night at 8.